Now, about 15 months ago, my wife got pregnant. Not me, because we're old school.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny. Back in here, one more reaction video, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, I got a good one for you today. So there was recently a comedian who spoke at Oxford University. And let's just say you're going to have a good time hearing what he got to say. You're going to laugh a little bit as well. And on Martin Luther King Day, what better day to hear this little monologue. This is your first time to the channel. Welcome. Get on in here now. As I like to say, we simply spirits encased in human flesh. Just trying to figure out this thing called life. That is all. Not nearly as divided as the mainstream media tries to make it seem every single day. And I would say everybody and their mama enjoy a good laugh. So if you dig what you hear in this thing, share it far and wide.
You will not know this, but I was supposed to be the first non-student speaker for the proposition. I've now been the fourth, which means that I now have to thank all the previous speakers for making my best points for me. And I find that the main reason now that I have left to be in support of the motion is that I am so tired of talking about woke culture. That's why it's gone too far, more than anything else. And I thank the other speakers for making the points for me, because it means I don't have to reiterate the point that no, free speech is not some right-wing reframing of whatever. It's the foundation of Western civilization. Upon this civilization is built, and the Enlightenment values that led to it. I don't have to make the point that has been made by far better people in the past, that the only way to deal with the problem of racism is to treat people on the content of their character and nothing else. And the fact that woke culture seeks to overturn that is a new form of racism that we must all oppose. It means...
Truthfully, I am so tired of hearing about the first black this or the first black that, or this has never been done by an LGBT person. Can we stop minimizing people? Like I said, we simply spirits encased in human flesh, and these bodies will drop. And if we would believe that we all are Americans or all God's children or however you want to slice it up, then why do you insist on putting us in boxes every single day like this is the Hunger Games 2.0 type stuff? It just gets old. It's really disheartening. I have black children as well as biracial children. They don't look at each other and say, hey, you're not the same as me. That's my brother, that's my sister. And it's the adults that keep this trash going because it makes them feel good about themselves. Booker T. Washington actually made a speech about how it's a certain class of black people that want to keep this myth going because it lines their pockets and it pays them good. And if we look at our Hollywood elites, they're living pretty good off the narrative that they're so oppressed, right?
Also, I will not use this opportunity to say I told you so, as someone who spent the last 5 years warning people in the West that if we continue to erode our culture, if we continue to undermine our confidence in Western values, that our enemies like Vladimir Putin will seek to capitalize on it.
And outside of him warning you, you can go back and look at videos of KGB agents in the 70s and the 80s warning Americans. You can go back and read Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson, and you can listen to his farewell speech in the 60s where he warned about all of this. And he said that the civil rights movement was a mask for a communist movement and to destroy America altogether, not just black people, white people, to enslave everybody. But the propaganda has been waving in front of everybody's face so we can't see the truth. A lot of people should have listened to Malcolm X instead of Martin Luther King. Rest in peace, Martin Luther King. But there's a reason that man also said, I fear I've integrated my people into a burning building.
Will not make any of those points tonight at all. Instead, I'm not going to talk to those of you who already agree with me, which I imagine is most of you. I'm not going to talk to you because I imagine after everything you've heard tonight, you're going to vote for the proposition. I'm going to confess I will take your vote for granted. Tonight, I am the Labour Party and you are the Red Wall.
Black people.
Now, I want to talk to those of you who are woke and who are open to rational argument. A small minority, I accept. Because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. But I believe in you. I believe there are those of you here who are woke, who are open to rational argument, so let me make one. We are told that your generation cares more than any other about one issue in particular, and that issue is climate change. We're told that many of you suffer from climate anxiety. You wish to save the planet. And for tonight, and tonight only, I will join you. I will join you in worshipping at the feet of Saint Greta of climate change. Let us all accept right here, right now, that we...
Isn't the media now saying that climate change is responsible for heart attacks?
We are living through a climate emergency, and our stocks of polar bears are running extremely low. I join you in this view. I truly do. Now, what are we to do about this huge problem facing humanity? What can we in Britain do? We can only do one thing. You know why? This country is responsible for 2% of global carbon emissions, which means that if Britain was to sink into the sea right now, it would make absolutely no difference to the issue of climate change. You know why? Because the future of the climate is going to be decided in Asia and in Latin America by poor people who couldn't give a shit about saving the planet. No, thank you. No, thank you. It's going to be decided by poor people in Asia and Latin America who don't care about saving the planet. You know why? Because they're poor. Because they're poor. I come from Russia, which is not a poor country, it's a middle-income country. 20% of households in Russia do not have an indoor toilet. What they have is an outdoor toilet. And I don't mean one of those nice portaloos that we get here. I don't even mean a Glastonbury portaloo. I mean a wooden shack with a hole in the ground that holds a collected fermented memory of the last 10,000 visits. How many of you are going to go home tonight and say, let's rip out our bathroom and erect a Siberian shithouse in the back garden? And if you're not, why should they? 120 million people in China do not have enough food.
I honest to God think so many people take for granted how well they live, like what type of life their mother and father have been able to provide them. And as a child, I even did that, and I didn't grow up great. I mean, my mama was on Section 8, and we was in homeless shelters and couldn't keep our lights on, couldn't keep our gas on, couldn't keep our water on. Sometimes we would have church's chicken for dinner and eat that same chicken for breakfast. I remember me and my little brother going to a Pizza Hut buffet with my mama and then just getting up and running out because we didn't have money to pay for the food. I remember my daddy totaling my car out, but I can still look back and say my parents did the best they could with what they knew and with the information they had. It would be easy to judge them and criticize them and say, man, we was in this low-income area and we was in this poverty, but at what point do you take responsibility for what you could change and look at people and say, if they knew better, they would do better? And I honestly feel like if more people in America looked at their parents from a lens of empathy and not a lens of judgment, they're like, man, you really tried, and now you pass this baton on to me, and it's up to me to keep going. But because they look at their own life through the eyes of victimhood, it makes sense why they look around and look at the world through those same eyes of victimhood.
I don't mean that they don't get dessert. I mean they suffer from malnutrition. That means that their immune system is breaking down because they don't have enough food. You're not going to get them to stay poor. Imagine you're Xi Jinping, the leader of China. When you were 10 years old, there was a revolution, a cultural revolution in your country, and people came and they put your father in prison. Your mother had to denounce him. Your sister killed herself. And you, no longer enjoying the protection of your formerly powerful father, were sent to a village where you lived in a cave house. And here you are, decades later. You have clawed your way up the bloody and greasy pole of Chinese politics to be the undisputed supreme leader of the very Communist Party that destroyed your family. And you know that the main thing you have to do to survive and to stay in power is to deliver the one thing that the people of China want: prosperity, economic growth. Where do you think climate...
And that's why you would have to look at the current state of America and say the only way that things could be happening this way is if it's an inside job. Because all Americans want to be happy, healthy, wealthy, and prosperous, being able to take care of their family, being able to afford a carton of eggs. Just it's the simple things that matter here around America. And to see how crazy and ridiculous it's getting, this isn't coming externally.
Climate change ranks on Xi Jinping's list of priorities. A third of all children who live in extreme poverty in the world live in India. That means they are starving and dying of preventable disease.
Meanwhile, our population here is 70% obese. So we're living so good that everybody can walk around eating an abundance of food and having an abundance of food to throw away. We got DoorDash pulling up, and we got kids in India that's really starving. We got to look at how blessed we are and how fortunate we are. And gratitude is everything. And the Bible says my people will perish from a lack of vision. If you don't have a vision of where you are and where you're going, look here, man, you're going downhill real fast.
Now, about 15 months ago, my wife got pregnant. Not me, because we're old school.
Imagine having to say that. We old school, so my wife got pregnant, not me. Once here, man, more propaganda to throw you off from your greatness and let you know what you really can achieve. It's so unfortunate, but it's hilarious at the same time because this is really 2023, and there's an emoji with a pregnant man. Lord help us.
A third of all children who live in extreme poverty in the world live in India. That means they are starving and dying of preventable disease. Now, about 15 months ago, my wife got pregnant. Not me, because we're old school. And for 9 months, we talked about what our boy would look like, what he might do when he grows up. We looked at baby scans and videos on YouTube about what the fetus looks like at 9 months and 12 months and 20 months. And eventually he was born. And he is this cute little bundle of joy. He's cuter than about 80% of puppies. Right. Now, if you said to me that I had a choice, either my son had a serious risk of starving or dying from a preventable disease in the next year, or I could press a button and he would live. He would go to school. He would bring his first girlfriend home. He'd go to university and graduate and become a woke idiot. And then he'd get a job and get married and have children and become a man. But all I have to do is press this button. And for every day of my son's life, a giant plume of CO2 is going to get released into the atmosphere. Now, you're all very young, and most of you are not parents. Let me tell you something. There is not a parent in the world who would not smash that button so hard their hand bled.
Look here, as a father of children that are currently upstairs sleeping, and as a father of 2 boys that are buried at 12 Gates Cemetery, I'd do anything in this world to bring my boys back from the dead. If I knew I could have prevented them from dying, I would have gave my life for them. Once you become a parent, you look at life from a totally different perspective. And I understand why a lot of people don't understand the mindset of a parent. When you literally have to sacrifice your life for everything you do, you become second and that child becomes number one. And that's why I think we need to have young boys working at a young age. They need to take on family responsibility, help out with siblings, because responsibility helps you grow in character. Speaking of that, there's a great book by Booker T. Washington called Character Building that every young man and woman should watch. It definitely help you out in life.
You are not going to get these people to stay poor. You're not even going to get them to not want to be richer. And so, I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, there is only one thing we can do in this country to stop climate change. And that is to make scientific and technological breakthroughs that will create the clean energy that is not only clean, but also cheap. And no, thank you. And the only, I want everyone to get home on time today, which is not going to happen. And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings.
Hey, true story, man. It's so disheartening, the amount of propaganda that's thrown at this young generation, because they don't even realize that it's propaganda. I mean, it's coming to them on their cell phones, on their TV, their friends, their parents, through the radio station. But this is the greatest generation to be born in. Y'all got the internet. Y'all can create artificial intelligence. You guys have coding. I grew up with no lights, no water, no gas in my house, and I feel like I'm blessed to be alive and I can accomplish my dreams and my goals. I couldn't imagine being one of you middle class kids right now. Even a kid growing up in poverty right now is living in way better poverty than I was 20 years ago here in America. So look around and find something to be happy for. And if you don't like your condition, work to improve it. But you cannot just complain and cry and moan. That don't get anything done. Anything. And I know this generation right now is growing up without grandfathers and without fathers, but that's not the men that raised us before that. They wasn't complainers. They was doers. They was outside working. My grandpa said you could do anything with your two hands. So work to change your condition, work to change the world. Get out of this victimhood mindset that all you could do is stand outside and cry and march and protest and put a black square on your Instagram. That's comical. It's propaganda. Disconnect from the matrix and watch what you can accomplish.
And we on this side of the house are not on this side of the house because we do not wish to improve the world. We sit on this side of the house because we know that the way to improve the world is to work, is to create,
yes, sir.
It is to build.
Plant the seed.
And the problem with woke culture is that it's trained too many young minds like yours to forget about that. Thank you very much.
Hey now. But Dr. Joseph Murphy, if you've read the book of The Power of the Subconscious Mind, he said it'd be really easy to impress young brains with communism. You can teach young kids whatever you want. And that's why through reaction channels, man, we just shining some light in a dark area of the world that you are not a victim. Every single person has greatness and genius inside of them. Especially if you're born here in America, man, ain't no limits on what you could do or where you can go, what you could become. But if everything around you was telling you you suck because you're a white boy, you can't do this because you're a girl, maybe you should question your sexuality. The police gonna kill you if you're black. Your mama don't love you. Your daddy don't love you. If all you hear is negative things every day and then you go to school and you hear that same negativity, goddamn, it's hard to want to be any better. I get it. I'm not saying it's just easy to fight it. I'm saying everything that you want wants you as well, but it's a spiritual battle. And how many rounds are you willing to stand in that ring and take punches before you get the momentum to throw a good jab and knock them back out? As Les Brown said, if you fall down, at least fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And society wants you over-medicated and undereducated. It wants you overweight, having anxiety, depression, not believing in yourself. And I'm saying drink water, take vitamins, exercise. Anything you want to do in this life, it's available for you. It may not happen tomorrow or the day after that, but greatness is inside of you. Faith without work is dead. Study the laws of attraction. Study the laws of the universe. Neville Goddard talked about it. Napoleon Hill, Ralph Waldo Emerson, James Allen. All of this information is out here for us to research, to study. So stop taking in all the negative food that's been fed to you by the mainstream media and research individually and feed yourself some positivity and watch what it does to your mindset. Watch what it does to your brain. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Hope it made you laugh. I hope you also got some wisdom that was dropped throughout this thing as well. Till next time, we outie.